What's up guys, welcome to Blake's Garage. So today I'm working on my BMW E30 rear differential right here. I have a 373 LSD that I'm gonna be installing. If you notice over here, I got a couple goodies. So let me go over the different options you guys can do to your rear differential. It's one of those things that when you have it out of the car, you're definitely gonna wanna upgrade these things because it's simple, it's easy, do it while it's out, and it'll be all good. So first thing you're gonna wanna do is pick a really good rear differential fluid. So you wanna make sure that it has the proper friction modifiers, and you wanna make sure that it may actually be recommended for your type of vehicle. So you guys can actually see on here, if you guys look, you look right there, what do we got? It actually says BMW. That's actually kind of hard to find with a lot of motor oils or differential oils, that it's actually recommended by that manufacturer. So this is some really good stuff. I picked this up from Motorsports Fluids, so check those guys out if you would like. They have really good fluid. I've been using them for my oil, Diff fluid, whatever you guys need. You know, you can use this stuff obviously in your, it's gear oil, so you're gonna use this in your transmission as well. And definitely recommend getting high quality fluids because it keeps your stuff safe and keeps your 30-year-old parts working good. So this also has a friction modifier in it, so you're not gonna have to add anything for that clutch pack in the rear LSD. I got some extra goodies. I picked these up from Garagistic. These are actually studs for the rear differential up here at the top. I'll kind of show you installing these. It's pretty straightforward, but you have that, and then you have a nut so that when you go to put it back into the car with the jack, it's gonna line up and makes life really easy. And that's like pretty cheap to pick up. I'll put a link down below for that, guys. Just has a little Allen head in the top, so you screw that into the differential, boom, ready to go. And then while I'm at it, I'm gonna go ahead and add the Garagistic secondary differential mount. Now this is really good. This is a 95A durometer polyurethane bushing. This is something that you're gonna wanna do if you're doing like a lot of skids in your car, if you're drifting your car, doing a lot of burnouts, if you have a lot of power. You know, if you're really gonna be abusing the rear end and the rear differential, this is definitely a recommended thing to do because that can actually become a weak point. So this is where you're gonna bolt this into the car. Use these little mounting plates, sandwich that in the trunk, boom, beefs it up quite a bit, and that'll work great. And while I was at it, I went ahead and replaced the factory bushing in the rear differential. I went ahead and just froze this in my freezer for quite a while. That way it just kind of shrank it. And then I hit it in with the BFH. Got it in there pretty far, then just used my vise to kind of clamp it in the rest of the way. But you can just basically just beat this thing in there. If you have a shop press, go ahead and use that. Most people at home don't have a shop press, and these are a pretty tight fit, but you can make it happen. I'm gonna go ahead and install the stud kit into the differential. You'll see that you have 4 holes. You got these 2 and you have these 2 here. What you're gonna use is a 7/32. I know for you guys over there in Europe, that's kind of weird, so you might actually have to find this, but this was not a metric size that I found. This was actually a 7/32. And we can use a little bit of thread locker, and then we are just going to insert these into their homes, and they are gonna stay there. After that, once we get the old differential out of the car, we're just gonna throw a washer on the top of the subframe, boom, like that. And then we're gonna use one of these poly-lock nuts. That will keep it locked down into its place, nice and tight, and that way it's not gonna go anywhere for you in the future. I'm just gonna use a bit of red thread locker. This is the permanent stuff. If you guys wanna use the blue non-permanent stuff, feel free. This is just something that I feel like I'm gonna install once and never have to really deal with again, so that's why I'm doing the red stuff. So let's go ahead and chop this bad boy open. Spider go! And of course, I kinda got it everywhere. Put a little bit of thread locker on here and install these into the diff housing. So you should be able to just thread these hand tight. Just kind of thread them in, get them started, and then you can work them the rest of the way in with your Allen wrench until they feel nice and seated in their spot. Boom. There we go, the basic installation of the stud is done. Once you have it into your subframe, you're just gonna go ahead and put that washer on the top. You're gonna go ahead and put that nut on, and you're gonna tighten it down to your subframe. So you'll be all good to go with that. This is a pretty simple modification, and it's just gonna make it a lot easier to install on a jack. As you see here, this is just a basic press fit polyurethane bushing. They do make these in a softer polyurethane. This is the harder one, the more the 95A, made for kind of autocross and race purposes. Or you can go with Delrin, which is basically a solid bushing, but it is self-lubricating in kind of the whole area. So, you know, it's not going to be real squeaky. However, it will be very, very stiff, and you will feel a lot of noise, vibration, and harmonics. So yeah, it will definitely be a lot louder. These are the pieces you're going to get for the secondary mount. You're going to get this little piece, and you will see on here that it kind of has some raised nipples, and you will just take that, press it together into these embossed nipple areas. That's just going to go through, and then you're going to use your bolt and your washer right into your diff cover by removing your old 2 diff bolts, and then you're just going to bolt this thing right into the differential. Now, I'm doing this on a table. If you guys are doing this under a car, it's basically going to be the same thing, just removing the 2 bolts and replacing the 2 bolts and torquing them down. Overall, this should be a fairly easy installation, which is now going to be the area where we're going to drill it up into the trunk when we have it installed. This plate is going to sandwich, boom, right on the top. It'll actually go like this. Nice too, because Gurgistic made these a little ovalized. They're not completely round, which is kind of good for a little bit of play with the bolts. Just makes bolting things together a lot nicer. Then you're gonna have 2 washers, a bolt, and a head. They're gonna bolt into the car. So that we're at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and reinsert the speed sensor. As you can see, I have an O-ring on here as well. I purchased a new O-ring, so we're gonna go ahead and put that on. Supposedly that's the part number right there. You're gonna wanna go ahead and clean that up, and just make sure you don't have any metal particles on it when you go ahead and insert it back into the car. In between the little forked area right here, you know, you're just gonna kinda wanna check that. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and insert this back in, make sure that it's facing the correct direction and we're not gonna chew that thing up. Then I can go ahead and put my little cover plate back on it. Just kinda goes like this, and it just clamps it down. Now it is keyed one direction, so it's only gonna go on one way. So just make sure you put it on the same way that it came off. The flat side is basically facing towards the inside of the differential here. Those are just a 10mm bolt that screws right into there. And like, I also picked up 2 new crush washers for the drain plug. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill up the diff with this Redline 7590 full synthetic gear oil. I picked this up from Motorsports Fluids. I have a link down below. These guys are really awesome. They specialize in a lot of BMW and European car oils. So if you have a bottle of this stuff, throw it in the trash. This is basic garbage. If you know you have an open differential, okay, you can get by with some really cheap fluid, but if you have clutch packs and you want stuff to last, definitely get a high quality fluid. Redline, AMSOIL, Motul, Riven oil, you know, one of those. Pick up some good stuff and fill it up and feel confident about what you're using. Now that I have the diff cover all torqued down, the side parts are all torqued down, everything's ready to go on this diff, I'm gonna go ahead and add the oil. So when you're busting one of these open, always make sure to take the top one out first, because let's say you get the bottom out and you can't get the top one out. Well, now you don't have any oil in your thing, so that's just bad news. But you know, taking out the top one's definitely a good idea first. So go ahead and bust that loose. We are gonna replace the little crush washer on both of these. I already emptied all the oil out of this diff, so nothing to worry about here. So I'm just going to go ahead and just replace that little crush washer real quick line. Now if you guys know gear fluid, man, gear oil is like literally one of the worst smelling oils in your car. It's pretty gross. It smells like this. That's exactly what this kind of smells like. It smells like rat shit. Let's get it in there. So when you kind of see a steady stream of oil starting to overflow out of there, that's how you know you're full. And then you can go ahead and tighten up your plug and torque it down. Is go out to the car, jack that thing up, and we're gonna pull out the old one. Let's go. Going underneath the car, we will see the differential, as you guys can see. So I actually have new axle shafts on here. If you guys didn't see when I replaced all the stuff on my subframe, check out that video if you guys haven't. If you guys have any questions on any of this stuff, comment down below. If you don't recognize anything, first thing we're gonna do, remove the speed sensor. Very easy, just a clip, just give it a nice squeeze. Here is the old differential bushing. As you can see, it's a little cracked. You know, I've been giving this thing definitely quite a bit of abuse. So we're gonna go ahead and take the bolt out of there. Also, we're gonna take the bolts out of the top area and the axle shaft. So we got those little areas right up here. There's two, one here and one on the other side. And then at the top of the diff, which you guys saw where those studs were, there are those ones too. So as you can see, this one is leaking. Also, this is an open differential, but the gearing is the same. It's a 373. You guys can read your tag and it'll usually say on there. Mine says 373 with no S, which means that it's an open. First thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and remove all of these bolts for the axle shafts. And these are just an 8mm Allen. I like to basically do the ones at the top because it's gonna give you the most access. When you're down here, you don't really have enough angle. So as you can see, I got a majority of the bolts out. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and spin the axle. That way I can access the rest of the bolts around the backside. So when you break these loose, make sure to have your Allen in really far. Oh, and make sure to have your e-brake down so that your shit don't move. E-brake's on. Go ahead and loosen these.
What's up, guys? It's me, Bert. So right now I'm just chilling under the car for a second, just checking out the progress, because we want to do some fat skids in this thing, so it'll be pretty sweet. Yeah, let's keep on wrenching, huh? Yeah, wrench on, fools. See ya.
I got both the axles removed, so the flanges are just exposed right here for the output shafts. I'm taking out this 17mm, took out that 17mm. I also loosened up the 19mm bolt here to 19 and another 19 on each side. These are 17mm bolts on the drive shafts. I'm gonna go ahead and just bust these loose real quick and get this drive shaft off. I'll keep shoving it from neutral to drive to rotate the axle and we'll be good to go. Got all the top bolts out, got the axle flanges off. Just gonna go ahead and remove this last 19mm bolt that I have over here on this one side. We got two, so you're gonna need two 19mm, and then you could just kind of go to town on that thing till it comes off. After that, well, before that, you're gonna want to put a jack underneath your car. That way your differential doesn't completely fall on your head and fall on the ground, so that's a definite safety issue. So make sure you got that out of the way. So yeah, this is pretty much the last and final bolt. You know, make sure, like I said before, make sure you got that speed sensor wire off. That's one that people tend to forget, and then you go, oh crap, my freaking speed sensor, I'm gonna break it. So now this can be a little dangerous as a one-person job, so you want to just take it slow and make sure your diff doesn't completely fall on the ground. So you want to make sure you got a pretty balanced situation going on. We'll see how we do. Okay, I brought it back a little bit so the nose can kind of get out of the subframe. Boom, boom, boom. Take it down. Diff is out. All right, guys. So I was about to swap for my old diff to my new diff, but I noticed something really fast that I wanted to check, and I kind of noticed it before. So see that connection right there? That is different than that connection right there for the speed sensor. So really fast, I'm gonna go ahead and change out the O-ring and change out the speed sensor to my old one. That way it matches. That way the connector is actually going to work and we're not gonna have any issues. So there you can see the secondary mount looking badass. There is that stock mount looking all sorts of gross and worn out. So yeah, this thing is gonna be sweet.
Yeah, so I pretty much approve this upgrade. It's gonna be pretty sweet. The skids are gonna be real nice, and it shouldn't break because of these secondary mounts. Those are pretty cool, so check out those Garagistic parts. Got a link down below in the description, guys, okay? Okay, check it out.
Alright guys, let's see how easy these studs make the installation. Should be pretty easy to line this thing up, so that's kind of exciting. So I'm gonna get it under here. Get it kind of positioned. So I'll make sure to get that in the hole for the mount. Gotta slide that in. Then I should be able to jack it up a little bit more. Okay, now here is where I'm running into my front alignment with my studs. So at this point, I'm gonna kind of crawl under the car a little bit and kind of move around the diff until it slides into the holes on those studs. There we go. Boom. Okay. Got that up. Go ahead and see if I can't get the drive shaft kind of aligned. That bolt to the back of the diff, just lowering down that diff mount just a bit until I get it in the proper spot. There it is. Now I can insert my bolt. And I can put my washer on the back side and just kind of get this in here so that way, you know, I got it pretty secure at least in one spot. And then I can go ahead and tighten down those other areas on top with the studs. So we got that new little washer and we got the new polylock nut. Now right up here as I reach up to the top, boom, I can feel the stud. It's awesome. And I can just spin that right on the top, making it very, very simple for alignment. Basically, once you get it to click in and you get everything aligned, I mean, you're on your way to bolting this thing back in. So I definitely like those studs. It's a lot easier for a single man because getting it up there and kind of positioning it and putting the bolt in is a very difficult task. See the stud with the nut on it right up there? That's where you're gonna go ahead and tighten it down. Then I got this one on the front, nice and tightened down. This makes it really easy. I'm really digging that setup. It's really good for, like I said, like a one guy. While I'm down here and while I remember, I'm gonna go ahead and just hook up the speed sensor. Click, slides right in, which is great. This guy, looking great. We're gonna put the bracket on it later on. And yeah, because it's getting hot out. I woke up early to do this. It's gonna be like 103 today. And the rest of the week's gonna be like 108. Sucks bells. Not fun. No one likes working on cars in 100-degree weather because you die. You instantly die. Well, not really, but feels like you're gonna freaking die. It's not cool. Not cool at all. So just slowly, real slowly, just bolt this down. Oh, it's so slow. And we'll just keep going on this. I do have to say a lock washer, like a lock washer and just a regular open bolt, I wouldn't mind that. That might be kind of nice, but you know, these aren't gonna back out, so I guess that's good. It's kind of one of those one-time things. If you're taking your diff out all the time, yeah, maybe go to the hardware store and like pick up something like that, because then you're just gonna be able to spin it on, torque the rest of the way and be golden and done. But this is pretty cool. Pretty cool overall. I'm digging it, I'm digging it. So, okay, we can pass the video. Alrighty, so I'm bolting up the drive shaft right now. Just go ahead and throw the drive shaft bolt in. You can usually get 3 in, and then you have to rotate. Then you got to rotate the drive shaft to get that last one on. All right, guys, so I'm kind of gonna have to rush this last part of the installation. I gotta go somewhere, so I'm gonna take off on this. I'm gonna pull this off and I'll continue on the secondary bracket later and just go ahead and bolt these axles back in. That way I can get on my way to an appointment that I had, but yeah, I'll continue on this later.
Well, hey there, guys. We've been slacking on working on the Bird E30 because it's been so hot out, so we're gonna go outside right about now and finish up installing that secondary differential mount, okay?
Gotta jack the car up real quick, get in the trunk, and figure out the spot where I'm gonna drill the holes, which I already have my sound deadening material out of my trunk, so most likely this is kind of gonna be like right around, I don't know, this area. gonna drill the pilot holes from the bottom, so we'll actually find out where that goes. But what I plan on doing is basically just drilling from the bottom, then I'm gonna find the first hole. Once I find that first hole, then I can kind of figure out my other holes. We're cruising down under here. You can see I got the secondary diff mount right here. And now what we need to do, put the mount on the corners here. So there and there. And this pretty much lines up with the middle here. I also have this little speed sensor wire, so you gotta watch out for that when you put this up. But we're gonna go ahead and throw the mount on. So I was kind of slacking on this install because it's been like 108 degrees outside. I slapped the diff back in and I've been driving around just on the one diff mount. So that's actually kind of good because I wanted to get an idea of how I liked it. It's definitely good. I feel that it's a lot more connected, a lot more solid in the rear end. So that's really nice. I don't feel any like slop in drivetrain stuff. So that is very good. So yeah, we're gonna get this one on so we can keep this rear diff in its spot, keep it nice and solid. That will be really good. Looks like the diff is working out great. Doesn't look like I have any leaks or anything like that. So yeah, that little paper gasket is doing the trick. It's looking really good. So I'm happy with that. This right here, because I got more room from this side, I'm probably gonna put the bolt in from this side. But we have these little mount pieces. They look like this. We're gonna slide those up and kind of get an idea of where we're gonna drill a hole. Also, you guys should be wearing safety glasses when you do this because it's very dangerous. You got lots of crap up there. It's gonna fall on your face and you don't wanna do that. So I put the washer and the bolt through on that side. Got a washer and a nut on this side. Just gonna go ahead and place this other piece of the plate up here. You can see all the dust and grime falling from the top up here. So like I said, be aware, be careful. I'm gonna put our washer on and our bolt on. Get my little pilot hole going, and that looks like it's right into the trunk. So now I'm gonna go up top and I'm gonna open that up. So you can see right up there, I'm seeing some daylight in that hole. And that was basically just the simplest one for me to get my drill into like that. It was pretty easy. So now we're gonna go into the trunk and see how it looks. Okay, so now we can see that hole that I drilled is right there. So what we're gonna do is now we're gonna smash this plate on here. I'm gonna get the nut going through there, get it all nice and straight, and then we will drill the rest of the holes and get this thing all bolted down. So washer on top, washer on the bottom, and a nut on the bottom. We're just gonna go ahead and get this on here. Make sure I can get it bolted down and that it looks good down below. Boom. We'll drill the other one out just because. Oh yeah, hitting gold down there. All right, that looks great right there. So now all I gotta do is go down below and get this thing in. Okay, so you guys can see I got the bolts going through right there, and then I have them popping out on this side right there. So I'm gonna use a extended socket wrench and do that, and then I have a friend helping at the top, which is why we got that wobble bolt right there.
Well, hey guys, we're pretty much all done, so that's good.
Pretty much got all these bolts all torqued down. Now I just got to hit the 219 millimeters on this differential mount here, and I have the 95 hardness polyurethane bushings in both of these. So this thing is going to be super stout, super sturdy, and shouldn't have any issues with breaking the factory mount, because this mounting point can become weak from doing clutch kicks and things like that over time. So the secondary mount helps out a ton with rear end abuse, and I'll be doing a bunch of that. And there's the finished product on the mount right there, so it looks good. Still got the safety glasses on. So overall, the install went very well. I'd recommend to have at least another person in the trunk, unless you have a giant hole in the trunk because you cut out the spare tire hole. Then you'd be totally fine doing it on your own. But a spare helping hand at the top will definitely help a lot. So there's the Bird E30 for one more episode, and look forward to seeing the next one, guys. Talk to you soon, later, and wrench on.